Let's ruin our lives.
Getting pissed at high tides, chewing up like cyanide. Please don't revive. Let's ruin our lives. Some pills in acid, nails in my casket. That sounds romantic. To just ruin our lives.
それじゃあビデオ見てもらいます。寝んなよ。
Hello everybody, welcome to Let's Ruin Our Lives. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons. It helps so much. I'm your host Josh Hensley here in Phoenix, Arizona. And joining me all the way from up north in beautiful Flagstaff, you know him from Penelope and the Suitors lead guitarist and singer Devon. How you doing, buddy? Welcome back, my friend. And for the first time ever on the show, very happy to introduce you all to poet, writer, zine maker, Aeka. Thank you so much for coming on.
Excited to be on Let's Ruin Our Lives today.
Awesome, thank you. You're the first person to ever say that. So Devon hit me up a few weeks ago wanting to come on. I said, of course. And you wanted to talk about DIY culture, the importance of it, and how it relates to this dying empire we find ourselves in.
Yes, I think in the age where our lives are ruled by streaming services, subscriptions, you pay a monthly fee for access to movies and TV shows that they can remove at any time. Mm-hmm. The fact that you can pay Amazon $20 for a movie that they can take away 2 days later is terrifying. And I think DIY is slowly becoming not only the alternative means to that, but frankly, the financially incentive means against the world we live in.
Right.
It's much more wallet friendly to do everything yourself now.
For sure, yeah, and to have that physical piece of media that, you know, can't be just taken away from you.
Exactly.
Well, I was just going to say, what I found it amusing, as somebody who's much older than you guys, when you did like a tutorial on how to burn CDs.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure. So
teaching everyone how to do that.
You know, to me, that's just like, that's what we did. You know what I mean? So like, I guess what sparked that idea, or like what made you want to do that?
Oh, so number one, I grew up with my mom's CD collection, which some of them were CDs she owned from, you know, her youth, and some were things that her friends burned her. She had the Beastie Boys' Paul Boutique. Oh, nice. I think my aunt burned that for her.
Nice.
So there was already an ingrained sense of, oh, people made these themselves back in the day. Mm-hmm. And then when I got into music, it was just, it's cheaper to buy a pack of CDs and burn them on a CD burner than it is to pay a company to do it. So it's just one of those things, like small artists, not a lot of money, that is financially incentive, you know, at least for Penelope it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a great idea. When I was still playing music like 10, 11 years ago, whatever, like vinyl was making a resurgence. But like, I feel like most people don't own vinyl records, whereas record players, whereas most people do have something that can play a CD. You know what I mean? Whether like a PlayStation or an Xbox or whatever. So when are we getting Penelope and the Suitors CD?
We had a few at our show in Ground Zero.
Oh, nice.
And those, I mean, granted, we only had like 5 of those, so those are all out in the world with different people now.
For sure.
But hopefully there will be some more before our show in Cameron on the 17th.
Okay.
Absolutely looking to get some more copies made by then. And hopefully whenever we're back in Phoenix, we'll have some more as well.
Yeah, awesome.
And I think people can definitely look forward to some new of my own personal solo music and some of Penelope's music in the near future.
Oh, okay.
So that's definitely something people can keep an eye out for.
Are you going to be performing under like a different stage name with your solo stuff?
I just shortened it to Vlad and then the last name. Okay. I figured kind of like how Ozzy did Black Sabbath and then had his own work under his name.
Sure.
Something like that worked a little better.
Okay. Is it going to be pretty different from the band?
I think if you've heard any of the singles that have come out,
Mhm.
it'll be somewhat aligned, but somewhat different here
Okay.
and there.
That's awesome. You're diversifying. That's very cool. I'm sorry I couldn't make it to that Ground Zero show. I really wanted to go.
Oh, no worries.
How was it though?
It was a lot of fun. We had a great time down there. I want to say all the bands we played with were lovely. Shout out to all of them.
For sure.
They were great.
You played with None, right?
None, Missing October, Zavel, and the Terror Effects.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a really cool show.
Awesome.
Everyone was super great. Us and Missing October went out for street tacos afterwards, which was really nice.
That's the tradition, man. For sure. It sucks that Ground Zero is closing down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, no, I'm like new to the Phoenix scene. I
Yeah.
moved down the valley last year for school, and
Oh, okay.
Zero became like I think I called my friends home and like, guys, it's like the Hive but for Phoenix.
Okay. Oh, so you're in Phoenix.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
not that moment. I am Flagstaff born and raised, and I attend school.
Okay. Right on. Right on. Yeah. What I think their final show is coming up. By the time this comes out, they'll be gone. But their final show is next Saturday. Are you guys gonna plan on going there?
You know, I am not going to be back down. Back down for it, but I saw them before I left in December. Go say my goodbyes. Say, you know, I mean, everybody there are wonderful people, and they will still be around the scene. You know, Monica was one of the people that made Ground Zero feel like a second home to me and to a lot of kids. You know,
For sure.
especially when I was new to that. I mean, it sounds silly, right? Moving like 3 hours away from home, but it was overwhelming. It was a new scene, and Ground Zero really did make everybody feel welcome and like they belong.
What would you say would be like the major differences between the scene in Phoenix and Flagstaff?
So I don't know how qualified I am to speak on the scene in Phoenix as a whole, because especially as compared to the scene in Flagstaff. I'm from here, born and raised. The Flagstaff scene is something that's, you know, I feel deeply interconnected to. A lot of the people, you know, still very much movers and shakers of the Flagstaff scene are dear friends. Devon really is the best qualified to speak on the Flagstaff scene right now as a band member.
I find... Oh boy, I have some polarizing opinions.
I
Because
like
on one
Devon
hand-
because he always has something that's like you speak from the heart, buddy. I appreciate that.
I'm about to ruffle a whole lot of feathers here.
Oh,
I'll regret it tomorrow morning. It's okay. Okay. On one hand, I want to say that I love every band, every venue here. They are all like family to me. And on the other hand, oh my God, this
you know what
scene-
they say about family.
This scene would rather scream and yell and fight with each other till the day we all perish than put the petty bullshit. I just want to say this. We are adults. We are all adult people here. Can we stop acting like a bunch of high schoolers, please? All right? There are real problems in the world. We just bombed fucking Venezuela and kidnapped their president.
Yeah, and his
Maybe
wife.
there was a little more important, bigger issues going on. And maybe as a scene, we should fucking stand against that.
Amen.
I will say the Flagstaff scene. I am proud of the direction recently that has been taken by a lot, especially of the hardcore bands, who have worked real hard to raise money for folks in Gaza right now. But
Right.
I will also say I have always the Flagstaff scene in terms of being actively aligned with alternative values and actively aligned with subcultural solidarity. Flagstaff better.
For
Have
sure.
personally been, I have personally, you know, I've grown up here, been a woman of color in the Flagstaff scene my entire adolescence, and I'm grateful that I've been nurtured and loved, taught, and simultaneously, I think that there's another. I'm glad that Devon's talking because family. I think in very often, family is as much connection of love and community and loyalty as it is a structure. And I think it is important as people who are obligated, perhaps, if you call yourself a punk, people who are obligated to question structures, look at them in your own scene. Be aware who's the voice, who holds authority, who is being listened to, and who is not.
For sure, definitely. I've always considered Flagstaff to be like one of the punk centers of the United States in a way. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like it's even though like
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys are like really isolated, you know, in a sense.
You know what does it? There's something about the place, and I say this as someone who is maybe more from Flagstaff than I am from anywhere else, to the perhaps chagrin of some. But you know, there's something in the mountains that makes people a little bit crazy. And maybe it's the isolation. This is a theory. Devon and I are friends since 7th grade who have been
Nice.
kicking around the theory, as many friends do. Why the fuck are the people around us like that? Why the fuck
Oh.
is everybody like that? I just sat there and I'm like, why is everybody like that? I think one of the beautiful things about like the art that comes out of Flagstaff that you will not get out of any other place,
For sure.
I feel, is that people are a little bit insane. There are some bands that I think you could describe as a phenomenon to themselves that have come out of Flagstaff.
Absolutely.
No matter where it's burning.
I mean, how did, I guess I don't know this, but like, how did punk rock get rooted in Flagstaff?
Oh,
Ooh, yeah.
Is it because of the acid?
I mean, probably.
We're like, we are the post-COVID generation.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
following the pandemic, I don't know if you understand how touch-starved tax-starved, spiritually, emotionally, creatively, starved post-pandemic. I think the country was. So the scene had like a massive and deeply energetic and passionate resurgence, and it was completely led by but it was predominantly led by this one band that came out of the high school scene, and that brought all of us kind of with it in this huge wave,
Okay.
and that, I think, was Monet.
Nice. Is
Oh,
that?
absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Devin.
I do want to say this scene does predate that. There is a large amount of mostly hardcore stuff that came before it. As someone who,
Yeah, and metal.
yeah, there was a very, as someone who, I think in one of those videos I did, their CD is there, they're called the Fume Bros. They were doing this way before. They played with Pantera, Danzig, Five Finger Death Punch.
Nice.
To this day, I remember their bass player, Kenny. He showed me the video. He was like, look up when Danzig got his shit rocked in Tucson. We were at that show.
That seems to happen to Danzig a lot.
Big fan of Glenn Danzig getting his shit rocked. You don't even. I'm so enthusiastic about Glenn Danzig getting his shit rocked.
That's so funny. I want to share a quick little story about a punk experience I had in Flagstaff. It was in 2013, I think. It was when I'm sorry?
Oh, I was just laughing. We would have been about 5. Yeah.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. No, but it was when my brother and his family lived in Flagstaff, and I was like, always I've been into punk rock for a very long time, but I was also getting into like dance music at that time. And so I went to an event at one of the places in downtown. I don't remember what it's called. I'm sure you guys have been there. They have dance music. They have punk there. It's this little, like, literally like a hole in the wall right next to an alley on the north side of the train tracks. Anyways.
That's the Hive.
Oh, okay. The Hive, yeah. And it was like a dance music night or whatever. I'm there, I'm having fun. And I met like another punk guy, and I bought some weed off of him. And then he was like, hey, do you want to come back to my place? We'll watch like some movies, hang out with my friends, drink some beers. So we did that. We walked, south side of the tracks or whatever. And then we watched, I think, the second Zorro movie with Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. I think it's called The Mask of Zorro. Anyways, this is where it gets more punk. I'm walking back in the middle of the night, back up to my brother's house, and I'm approaching the train tracks from the south, but a train's going by or whatever. And there's just this tall, punk guy standing there waiting to cross also. And then we're walking, and I'm a little buzzed or whatever. And then I'm just like, hey, and he's just like, hey, like he didn't know if he recognized me or not. And then we just hugged. I was like, hey man, good to see you. And he was like, yeah, good to see you. He had no idea who I was. I didn't know him. And it was a pleasant memory of Flagstaff.
The scene's different now. People here don't hug often, I've found.
Do you think is that like post-COVID
kind of
trauma, or like because Trump is diluting everybody's minds and souls?
I mean, probably both if we're being honest.
Right. For sure.
Like, you know, it's not cool in this administration to show any affection, is
True.
whatever they're saying. I don't know.
Empathy, yeah.
On it, like empathy and you know, the death of empathy and the fucking apathy epidemic. I will say, I think the scene, at the very least, people are angry and upset, and as much as I'm hoping that transmutes into love, and you know, into love and into solidarity, you know, I think that it's better to be angry than to be apathetic, right? But yeah,
For sure, yeah. Well said. Are the hippies still a thing in Flagstaff?
oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
For sure. Has there ever been like a clash? Are there like hippies your age?
Kind of.
I walk the line with the people that I'm close to. You know, my favorite, I like to tell people that my favorite punk singer is Baez.
Nice.
And, you know, Jen Baez is one of my favorite punk singers. I think that she is a through and through punk.
For sure, yeah.
Dylan is too,
He is.
but he's also a situationship war criminal. But,
Wait, can you expand on that? What do you mean by that?
I can't expand on that. I absolutely can't expand on that. So, Dylan is a situationship war criminal. I think that just ends there. Like, I think just egregiously emotionally exploitative. There is something to be said that I think, you know, artists' tendency to kind of be deeply explosive and, you know, complicated in interpersonal relationships. If you've ever listened to Fleetwood Mac, you know, you are aware.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's a good point. He's definitely known for not being the best towards Joan Baez. That's true. Great lyrics, though.
Yeah, I think this is, but I do think that the overlap between the hippie and the punk scenes in Flagstaff has always been right.
Yes, definitely. I'd agree.
We're out in the mountains, rolling in the dirt, you know.
For sure.
Exactly. And I think, I think punk and hippie, frankly, at their core, there's a lot of crossover there.
Yeah.
Both ideologies are fundamentally rooted in love for the fellow human.
Yes.
And
freedom, very much so. Freedom and I think yeah.
I think that's something this scene has forgotten. Is that we are one, and there needs, you know, I understand the anger, don't get me wrong. I spend my free time harassing Donald Trump on social media because I think it's funny.
Nice.
But like, end of the day, there needs to be a pull together. Love thy fellow man. We will all hang separately, or we can all stand up and possibly not hang at all.
For sure. Nice, yeah. Well said. Yeah, so so the importance of DIY culture, I think, probably more important now than ever, especially like you're saying with technology taking over everything and these streaming services that really, it's all about the bottom line of making themselves rich and stealing from the poor artists. What would be some ways that the artists could help promote the DIY ethos and physical material?
Is that we got to throw out DIY. It's not do it yourself. You are doing it together. Because if you're getting in DIY and you kind of lost the battle. And I think this is many people, particularly particularly people who, you know, punks of the last generation, millennials and Gen X and so on and so forth. Like, social media is killing punk, and it kind of is. But I think what really is doing it is that people don't know, you don't realize, and you don't, it sounds quite melodramatic, but people don't always realize that social media isn't providing a substitute for meeting people and sharing ideas. It lets you idea, does not facilitate true dialogue, and it doesn't facilitate the ability to go and do a thing. If you're with a person, if you're, for example, in a garage with decades of clutter and 3 other people who know how to play their instruments, and you come together, kind of, sort of, you are much more likely to play a band than you are sitting, frankly, on a group chat call or, on texting with your friends to meet people. So if you way to meet someone, you might never be able to collaborate. It's not about DIY, but doing it together.
I'd like to weigh in here a little bit on that. I think something a lot of kids have lost because of social media is that young kids don't really start bands anymore. I've seen maybe 3 pop up recently in Flagstaff, compared to when I was a teenager in my first band. There were new bands that popped up every 5 minutes. Right. Every 3 people who could play an instrument were suddenly in a band doing something. And that was really cool back then. No
matter how shitty they were bills of 16 and 17-year-old. And all of us are still in the scene. All of us are still involved in doing art and making.
Exactly. I think every talk SOS had in that garage was like always, let's, either music or who the hell do we want to hang out with in this scene and what bands do we want to play for? Like, that was one of the biggest things we discussed. It was great. It was nice because there was a plethora of things to pick from. Right. Like, I will say one other thing about the Flagstaff scene, and don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of these bands are great. There was a lot more to pick from and a lot more creativity back then. Yeah. Now everybody does like hardcore, and that's about it. And that's not totally bad because, again, a lot of these guys are really talented and really good. But it's sad to see that there's no more Led Zeppelins. Like that I forgot their name. I saw them at the Hive. They were great. They sounded just like Led freaking Zeppelin. Like 10-minute songs. Guy was singing. Guitar player was amazing. It was great. None of that really anymore, and it's kind of a shame.
Diversity, like musically in the flag scene, we've got, but it does cluster. We do cluster. We've got a lot of metal. We're really lucky to have a really cool, to have periodic really cool waves of metal from the reservation bands too, because we're right, Flagstaff's right by the there's the Cameron scene that is just thriving intense black metal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I would love to see more punk bands. I in Arizona, Phoenix is lacking too, and I've always been quite adamant that the Arizona scene could really use a Riot Grrrl resurgence.
For sure, I agree, definitely. Yeah. So, well, like you were saying, it's not do it yourself, it's do it together, stressing the importance of community. I guess, one, is there a location in Flagstaff that, caters to all, the bands, or, sort of a hub that everybody can congregate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sensing some disagreement. I think that the Hive is not the Hive is an amazing space that Flagstaff has, and it is kind of the only space. It is a monopoly.
Okay.
Monopoly. But it's the only space that Flagstaff has, and everybody who keeps that space running is is kind of holding the backbone of the Flagstaff scene, at least.
I'm going to agree and disagree. Well, I do agree that the Hive is lovely, they're great, and they are a backbone in this scene. I would love to see a little more diversity amongst their bills. I feel like they try. Yeah. They definitely try. But I would like to see more.
There's cool and goth scene kind of emerging in Flagstaff.
Okay.
As a lifelong goth, I am very excited to see a little bit of that kind of coming into the scene.
Interesting. Oh, yeah.
I think the Batcave was they're really
Batcave
behind all of that, and that's super cool.
Is that
super exciting.
is that a band or?
No, they are a promoter, I believe.
Oh,
They're
okay.
a group of people. They organize goth nights at different locations, if I remember.
They've organized a few shows as well, which is they're really cool. I really hope to see them do more.
Okay, the Batcave. Okay, interesting. Yeah, the last band I was in was like a goth punk band in LA, and like we could tell that like goth was coming up, like it was having a resurgence. So it's very interesting. Bless you. So it's really interesting to me to see it like 10 years later really starting to like take hold. I get this question might sound like, I don't know, bitter or whatever, but like, do you notice, and correct me if I'm wrong, I notice a whole lot of posers in the goth scene. I as somebody who has identified as goth since I was like 13 or whatever, until I got more into like punk and hardcore punk, weirdo type punk. I feel like there's a lot of appropriation going on within the goth scene. I feel like a lot of the people are like just pretty much just influencers using goth as a fashion, but I don't know how much. To me, a goth means you have some sort of mental illness and you're probably really broke and you grew up in like a fucked up sort of way, and you embrace the darkness and turn it into beauty. That's what goth means to me. And maybe I'm not a good example of goth because I don't really listen to goth music. I was sort of more like nu metal goth and then like black metal goth, which has its problems. But do you guys understand, like, get what I'm saying? And please correct me if I'm wrong. Educate me if you feel like it.
Flagstaff has the scene. The reason you'll hear us say the scene over and over is because this is a town of 30,000 people.
Right.
Narrow that down to people who go to shows, narrow that down to people who do not have Stanley Cups surgically attached to their arm, narrow that down, do not drive souped up $10,000 pickup trucks.
Right.
You're slowly, and then you're slowly getting down to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't really separated goth scene, but it's sort of part of our scene. Mm-hmm. And say really negative experience within people who participate in the goth scene. My negative experiences predominantly in both Flagstaff and in Phoenix have been, and this is with the scene as a whole, tourists, people who are interested in involving, or uninterested in, for the most part, or uninterested in involving themselves in the community, but who want to push into this space and who want, kind of treat it as tourism and who treat as a petting zoo, which is particularly difficult.
For sure.
The way, the commodification, exoticization, fetishization
exactly.
of alternative people that is just completely rampant, especially women. And, this comes from within the scene. I don't feel like this is the goths. I don't feel like this is the punks. I don't feel like this is even the hard irritating of the hardcore scene. I think this is coming from, the call is not coming from inside the house.
Right. No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. It's going to happen to any counterculture no matter what, at least in the United States, it seems like.
Exactly. It's less about pointing fingers and having our little witch trial of poser.
Right. See, I would consider that we're all part of the same community, you know what I mean? At least alternative people, whatever, so when, is there a point that gatekeeping becomes necessary? Because you don't necessarily want people, being vampiric towards the scene, you know what I mean? When their only goal is to get themselves, popular and, whatever, likes on Instagram, you know what I mean?
That happens. Popularity contest happens. Yeah.
Right. And it's a fine line you walk on social media, I think, because every band is kind of forced into using it in some way. Just because it's one of the things, social media, I definitely will say, I think it's a tool that not enough bands, I think more bands treat it like a pair of shackles than a weapon that they can wield.
Right. For sure.
Because end of the day, you know, anything that they throw at you, you can take and throw back at them.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
Utilize surveillance state when you can. Making the surveillance state work for you as and when you can. I that.
For sure, yeah. No, that's a great point. What's
I think Dino accomplished it.
there's this German movie about punks called What to Do in Case of Fire. And it stars did you guys ever see SLC Punk?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know Mark, the Canadian or whatever German, whatever he is, the guy who sells the weed. He's the star in that movie, and it's all in German. It's a very good movie, and one of the phrases that's repeated throughout the film is "destroy that which destroys you," and I don't know, that really like stuck with me. I forgot how I was relating this back to what you were saying, but like. Yeah, no, you make a great point of like using what is effectively being used to oppress us to get out your message and to spread like the truth or whatever.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Because end of the day, I mean, I think Xeno really accomplished this. Because how far did we make it on the internet? Like, we angered a lot of different groups.
Yeah.
And I think it's impressive, though. We angered the KKK.
No, okay, we angered some kid in Virginia pretending to be the K.
Wait, what happened?
when we were making our first attempt at a band in high school,
Yeah.
two-piece band for the majority of the time that it lasted.
Oh, cool.
And certainly when it started out. But they like some of the dunking we got within our scene from the people that knew us was somewhat justified due to the fact that we didn't know what we were doing. But I think it was interesting because that got one of the dangers of social media that they've been telling us about since quite young is it got blown out of proportion. And the local scene fail pages led to larger ones that are interested in the way that I look and in the way that somebody held themselves, or in the way that all of us present clear at some point.
Right.
They were a lot more interested in calling us names, slurs, and just kind of projecting. We were a convenient target. We thrived on. I mean, it sucked. There were tears and crying, and I think we are closer now because we have, and although we're like, are people gonna shit out of us when we walk into the venue? Are people gonna calling us faggots in here?
Right.
Or like, are we up?
I guess
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think it was totally power. It was. I don't think there's a better way to walk into a punk show than being scared that you're gonna get the shit beat out of you.
Exactly. And I want to say we didn't exactly go down not swinging. If anything, we were just irked more to do and push further.
Right.
I think that was the best thing, was that every time somebody pushed, we just pushed right back.
For sure.
We were the first we were the first band in this scene to take a proper stance in support of Gaza.
Okay.
That is correct.
And that's not,
our first show, I think was, this was one of the times where Flagstaff kind of had the flag scene kind of had a political reckoning that had political. Eventually, but yes, we did that, didn't we?
Yep. We did Bootlicker. That was a good song.
It was. It remains a good song.
So.
Oh yeah, Penelope does that now.
So I have two questions. So Flagstaff being like a small city, okay, this is a two-parter. Sorry. So Flagstaff being a small city, are there is there a presence of like white supremacists and bigots,
Yes.
fascists in Flagstaff?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how does that affect growing up there as like punk rock people? Like, it is like you were saying, like there's been violence towards you guys because of that presence.
I used to keep brass knuckles in my pocket in high school.
Damn.
Like, I was always ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of nuts to think about. Like, you don't normally think Flagstaff is the kind of place that a kid walks around with a f***ing weapon in his pocket
not at all, yeah.
for his own safety. But then it's also like, yeah, but I don't exactly want to get... Like, I went to a school full of white supremacists.
Right.
If anything, growing up punk rock in that circumstance leads to you cussing your old school out on stage and in interviews.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
Oh, I didn't go there. Well, I did for a couple of years.
I mean, hey,
MAHALO.
NPA was a bullshit school run by some bullshit people with some bullshit ideologies. The fact that I had to cuss a guidance counselor out for her to do anything is frankly appalling.
I don't remember this
Like-
episode.
Yeah, I had to cuss a guidance counselor out for her to protect one of my friends.
Oh, I do remember this episode.
Damn.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
to be fair, it felt really good to cuss her out.
Yeah.
For
No,
sure.
I think
So
white
okay.
presence is a strong word.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. No, I take that back. No, I don't. I don't think it's a strong word. I think there are white supremacist fascists in this fucking town. I think I showed up to the punk rock party already very upset. I showed up to the punk rock party already kind of having had it. I attended the same school as Devon up until 8th grade. And my parents pulled me out after a spate of incidents that culminated in my head getting smashed to a brick wall.
Oh my god.
Bloody nose, full on,
Jeez.
in front of teachers, and this was a series of escalating incidents that about fascism was the administrative response, because the response was maybe tried a little bit harder to fit in, kids wouldn't hitch,
Jeez.
and that I'm grateful for that lesson happened when I was like 13, because I think prep school is a very good place to grow for a little bit, to grow a punk and to grow an anti-fascist, because
right.
it's an education in fascism.
For sure.
Like that was my first repressive regime, and I was like, thank you, I don't like the taste of this. And I took that. I was lucky enough to go to a gay little art school for high school, and I now attend Irritate University, where there is an enthusiastic presence at Turning Point USA.
For sure.
But that Devon, I think, like the 10th grade, exists to irritate, and I took that to heart as the ultimate kind of punk maxim. And
Nice.
I put pharmacists around whom I grew up with making me into a punk.
Okay. Well, damn. I mean, it's fucking nuts.
I said a lot of things in 10th grade, and, most of them were stupid and immature. I think the two greatest things I have said in that time was exist to irritate as one, and it's advice I think every punk should take.
For sure.
Exist to be the annoying little pest. All right? Like, exist to be the fly that they can't seem to swat.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And two, was be so goddamn metal with yourself that it fucking hurts.
Nice.
That is my second piece of advice to everybody, is be metal until it hurts. Because it hurts, and then you'll only get more metal after that.
Hell yeah.
I would like to be the voice of reason who shows up on this podcast and I know that's not what you meant, but don't, it's not punk rock to hurt yourself. It's not punk rock.
That's not what I
It's
meant.
not.
It's not cool to hurt yourself.
I know. I
That's
agree.
not what I meant, Aeka. You know.
No, for sure.
It won't. It won't. It really won't.
Hey, they bite you, fight them back.
You do, yes. No, exactly.
That's
And
what that means. Be so metal it hurts. Fight
That-
back.
Not hurt.
That's what I think is like really the difference between punks and hippies, is that punks aren't pacifists. You know what I mean? If somebody hurts us or
Yeah.
somebody we love, we are going to hurt them back. You know what I mean? And
Oh, yeah.
that's where I think, like, obviously the hippies needed to exist, and they did do a lot to like revolutionize the underground culture in our society, but in a sense they were kind of like cowards, and a lot of them were still like very racist and like bigoted and sexist and homophobic, and so they didn't really break that far away from the status quo, whereas the punks, they're like, you know, punks being like the children of hippies, and especially of like the baby boomers or whatever. Well, same thing, I guess, but you know what I mean. The punks have taken it a step further. Right now, as somebody who is really from the outside looking into the punk scene, you know, now I'm a father. You know what I mean? Like, my life is all about raising my kid, but I'm very happy to be doing this podcast and talking to lovely people such as yourselves. And not in anybody that I've interviewed, but on social media, sadly, I see this softening of the punk attitude, like sort of what the opposite of the ethos of exists to Irritate. Like, yes, that's what punks do. You know, we make music to get back at those who bullied us and hurt us and who oppress us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I see this sort of like, punk is polite, I think I saw on a flyer, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Punk is the opposite of polite. You know?
If I'm a punk and I'm being polite to you, it's mocking. Like, if I'm a punk and I'm being nice to you, like, here's the thing. I'm never nice to a politician on Instagram or, you know,
Right.
social media, right?
Right.
Like, I always go in guns blazing, you know, you're my enemy because you're in the government. Like,
for
you're
sure.
the government, you're the enemy. But, like, if I'm being nice to someone, if I'm being nice to a police officer, I'm doing it mockingly. It's not genuine. It's
I've been present for that.
oh yeah, the very mocking. You know, yeah,
No, for sure.
Like,
And I just want to clarify, like, I think punks are generally pretty well-behaved people in their community, largely because we've been ostracized, we're outcasts, you know what I mean? Punk is like the family for us or whatever, but like you're saying, when it comes to the outward status quo society, like, no, you shouldn't be polite. Like, my son's autistic. When I take him out in public, people fucking glare at us like they hate us. And I've yelled at people. I've got like, you know, I was like, what are you looking at? Stop looking at him. Stop looking at him. I have to tell grown adults, stop looking at my 8-year-old just because he's different. Like, what the fuck? There's no room for just complacence in people who want to see you as less than. You know what I mean? And I'm scared that a lot of that is leaving like the punk rock attitude. Even when I was in a band like 10 years ago, we played mostly goth shows and a lot of punk shows. And a lot of that scene was like, maybe it was a Los Angeles thing, but like, and I'm speaking generally, obviously, you know, I don't believe in absolutes, but people just like looking down on you for being different from them. You know what I mean? Just because I don't want to go around socializing or networking because I despise that. Like, that doesn't make me less than you, you know? Like, and I would just like to see more, especially with Trump and everything. I want to see more fire. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see like an aspect of danger towards the status quo. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think I've always held a lot of respect for the older generation of punks. I think people like the Dead Kennedys, Descendants, Circle Jerks,
for sure.
Let's do more. They did things. Those were the guys punching police officers.
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain used to fill cans of rocks and throw them at cop cars. Where is that anymore?
Right.
Like, you know, if we're angry, if we're, you know, last time I checked, there's a lot more punks than there are cops.
True.
Like, last time I did the math, there's a lot more of us than there are of them. If we don't like it, maybe it's time we actually threw a couple of punches. Like, I'm sorry, but a man like Trump doesn't understand political protest. You're not gonna beat him with a sign that says stop. You're gonna beat him when you start throwing punches at his administration. Because at the end of the day, they're all, you know, they're weak. Look at them.
You know,
This is an 80-year-old man parading around like he's God.
an 80-year-old
Last time
pedophile.
Exactly. He's a pedophile. Last time I checked, we curb stomp pedophiles.
Right. You know,
Do it? No. Do we? Clearly. Like, because the scene doesn't.
the scene doesn't.
Because the scene doesn't. And the communities, okay, the scene sometimes, and we'll get to that. The scene doesn't. The communities don't. The cops don't. The schools don't. So who's stopping them? Because we're not. And I think we're seeing the results of not curbs so long that this insect has crawled its way in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Like, in fact, we are so bad at curb stopping pedophiles. We've elected one president. In fact,
Then
That's a good point.
maybe it's time to put the combat boots back on.
amen.
You know, I just want to say, if the U.S. military can kidnap President Maduro from Venezuela in a night, the American citizens can kidnap Donald Trump from the White House in a couple hours.
For sure.
Last time I checked, if the military can do that, the batshit insane backwaters of the USA could be in the White House. And, you know, all I'm saying, I'm not saying political insurrection. I'm completely 100% saying political insurrection is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. I mean, I think with like what's so ironic about January 6th, like, I think up until that date, you would think that the people who would be storming the Capitol would be leftists and anarchists, right? And
Right.
In what? But we're active.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? It's cut out.
We're not that effective, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We are resistant to effective tactics because some level, there maybe was a time where the moral high ground made a lot of conflicting feelings on pacifism. I don't want all-out war. I want war in the streets, and maybe that makes me less of a punk, but I don't want war in the streets because I don't think,
for sure.
you know, people from developed countries fully understand the concept of war in the streets. War has never come to the streets of the United States. I'm from Arizona. We've never seen active, you know, we've never seen active combat in the streets of Chandler. You know,
Right,
I don't
right.
want active combat out in this country, but I do agree that I think January wouldn't have turned into a civil war, but, you know, direct action, perhaps, yeah, direct action is something that we struggle with on the left.
So, since I'd say that we're all artists here, and everybody listening probably is an artist of some kind, I think our greatest tool, our greatest weapon is our art. You know, without us getting dragged into the middle of the street and shot dead or kidnapped in the middle of the night.
And I think prepare ourselves for the eventual reality that art will have more concrete consequences than it does right now.
Right.
I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
possibility, you know, if you know your history, if you're remember, I mean, not personally, but if you know your history and you know what McCarthyism was, and I think, you know, there are concrete consequences, but art is the only thing that's going to save us. There's nothing else.
Sure. Okay, we have to wrap up soon. Let's end this on some high notes here. Again, thank you guys so much for coming on, both of you.
Of course.
I've said this every time Devon comes on. You really give me hope in the future of this country and in the youth. You know what I mean? And like I said, the first time Penelope and the Suitors came on was that your generation really has it harder than mine did when it comes to alternative lifestyles and alternative art making, because I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s when punk rock was on the radio. You know what I mean? And everybody was forming bands, and it was easy to jump into a scene. Now you're kind of back to like the original creation of punk rock when everything was like super underground, and in a way that's super beautiful. So thank you for continuing the fight. Aeka,
of course.
you are so Aeka, you're a writer and a poet. Who is your favorite poet of all time?
I think, you know, it's a really tough sell, but my favorite poet of all time would probably have to sit with Kathy Acker.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Kathy Acker. She published, you know, a variety of transgressive literature.
Okay.
Girl, but and Guts in High School is a must read for every single punk on the planet.
Okay, Kathy Acker. Okay, I have to look it up. What are your thoughts on Charles Bukowski?
I think that he had a lot of really cool stuff to contribute to literature. Not somebody who's going to throw the baby out with the bathwater creatively on Bukowski. I am trying to recall the last one of his that I've read because it's sitting in this room somewhere. But thoughts on the beats. I think if you are going to cite Bukowski, you should cite Carolyn Adams with him.
Okay.
If you can cite Bukowski, you should be able to cite Carolyn Adams. But that's my thoughts on Bukowski.
Carolyn Adams?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I know that name?
You probably don't know that name because her work kind of shunted to the side. She was working on things like, and you know, for example, I'm a huge fan of Kerouac, but Edie Kerouac's corollaries get left out. So my issue with the book is omission more than anything.
Yeah, I was like, I always assumed that, how Burroughs, they say, accidentally killed his wife doing the William Tell bit or whatever of firing a gun at her head with an apple on it. I didn't know that was as way more controversial than it was than it's usually portrayed. That he shot her in the head, like in the temple, and that she was still alive for like a while after he shot her, and they like hesitated to take her to a hospital or anything. Like, there's all these different stories about what happened that night that led to Burroughs murdering his, I don't know if she was his wife, but
I don't know if this is a story I've heard before, but it doesn't surprise me.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure you know who William Burroughs is, right? The beat writer. I think he wrote Naked Lunch.
Naked Lunch. He was quarrel with Ginsberg.
Yes, exactly. I believe they were close friends, and him and I don't know if it was his wife. I think it might have been Carolyn Adams. I'm not sure. They would do this bit at parties where she would put an apple on her head, and he would shoot it off with his gun or whatever. And him and some other poet or beat writer, I guess, and her were hanging out one night, and they attempted to do that stunt again, and he killed her. But I recently read that it's a lot more controversial than just him accidentally doing it. It kind of seems like it might have been on purpose. But we get into those dynamics of the geniuses and the known geniuses, the unknown geniuses, and the harm to women. That could be its own conversation, and it should be for sure. For sure. I meant to turn this lighthearted. Sorry. Let's see here. When's the next Penelope and the Suitors show?
January 17th up in Cameron at the Band Room. I encourage everyone who can to show out.
Awesome. Aeka, I wanted to ask you, do you have anything published? And you said you were a zine maker?
I'm adamant about Manifesto being, my zine, Manifesto being a physical, but Manifesto is a truth-telling project, and interested in checking that out, should reach out to me over Instagram or email. I can provide you with those, and for a copy. But I'm quite adamant about it being a direct distribution only and not a social media product.
Okay, awesome, nice.
I have a poem out currently with Wingless Dreamer and P Press. You can find my essays on my Substack as my post.
Nice.
My Instagram.
Okay. I guess we should end it here. My kid's gonna get home very soon.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? Do you guys want to tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. Devon, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You can find.
Yeah.
Oh.
It just kind of cut out, Aeka.
Oh, go ahead, Devs.
Okay. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I harass the president on Truth Social and Twitter all the time. So if you're curious and seeing whatever weird shit I'm sending to him, you can check me out there.
Hell yeah, Truth Social. Okay, yeah. I am not on. You do not look for me on Truth Social. You will not find me there. but I'm on Instagram and on Substack. I'm Diva of Disruption on Instagram. I post my movie and soon possibly a project on that account. And I am plain old Aeka on Substack.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, that's the end of this episode, everybody. Thank you two so much for coming on. You great guest.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Yeah, of course.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
Of course. And everybody, please hit like and subscribe. This has been Let's Ruin Our Lives. Exist to irritate.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
I know, but I'd rather be blind in heaven than sighted in hell.
Let's ruin our lives.